How's it going, guys? Hope you guys had a great week. So I'm back today with my first video after my week off. I had a really good week for my birthday and also just sort of chilling from the channel, and I'm feeling very refreshed and invigorated and ready for more content. And today is actually going to be a first impressions video. And today, guys, all I want to do is talk about Century Age of Ashes and like just how friggin' awesome this game is. So I got an email from Playwing, that's the indie development studio behind this game. It's a team of about 30, and for those who don't know, Century Age of Ashes is going to be a free-to-play early access dragon dogfighting multiplayer game which is set for release in April. And it's as awesome as it sounds. So I got an email offering access to the closed beta, which is running from the 11th of March up until the 21st of March for people who applied for that to basically test out the game and its different features, different classes. And Dante also got an email offering access to this game as well. And the both of us have been playing it like non-stop pretty much all weekend. We've played about 8 or 9 hours of it, and we're just having a blast with it. So I want to talk a little bit about the game, what it is, my experience with it today, and just generally give my first impressions. And then if there is interest, Dante and I have already checked our settings, and we are more than happy to live stream some of the game for you guys as well, so you guys can actually check it out to see if this is a game that you're going to be interested in. Now, it is a PC exclusive, so it is going to be available exclusively on PC, and I think it's on Steam. At least that's the only place that I've seen it so far. So Century Age of Ashes, as I said, is a free-to-play game in early access, set for release in April. Now, when the game comes out in early access, it is going to offer 3 playable classes, 3 maps that you can explore, and 3 game modes, which are called Carnage, Gates of Fire, and Survival. Now, in the closed beta, Dante and I were able to get hands-on with all 3 classes and check them out, and we were also able to play 2 of the game modes, plus a rookie mode, which is available at the start of the game and offers players the chance really to get to grips with the controls of each dragon, some of the different class abilities and moves, and it also allows you to kind of just sort of get used to that kind of dog fighting. It's a small 3v3 skirmish between players, and you can access this rookie mode up to level 10. It offers a much smaller map, so it's allows you to get used to those mechanics, and it's actually really fun. And some of the fights that we had in the rookie mode were just really enjoyable. I know it is definitely a fan favorite with many people, and Playwing have said that they're going to be looking at introducing this as another game mode further down the road, and I think they're going to call it skirmish mode, where you can have 3v3 on smaller maps. So it'll be interesting to see how that is going to sort of expand. Now, the 2 game modes that we got to check out were the 6v6 Carnage Mode, which is basically like team deathmatch. So it's 6v6 in a very cool map, which looks awesome. It's this kind of castle setting. The maps are really coolly designed. There's obviously, I mean, this is dragon dog fighting, so there's a lots of sort of flying in between areas. There's underground caves and tunnels that you can access as well. You can fly between sort of different masts on the castle. It's very fun map, and it does take some getting used to, and I will say there have been occasions where both Dante and I have kind of just been sort of feeling like we're pinballing off of walls as you're trying to get used to doing those sharp turns and sharp cornering. But once you do get to grips with the map, it's really fun. It is really enjoyable. Now, in Carnage Mode as well, there are power-ups that become available. So the idea is to try and take out your opponents to earn points. As you take out each target, you get a bounty on you, and the more people that you kill, the higher the bounty level you have. Now, obviously, when you have that bounty on you, that does make you a target. So if one of the enemy dragons kills you while this bounty is active, they actually get get additional points for that. So say if you had a level 5 bounty, they would get 5 points, which would be added to their score. But if you are able to survive until the bounty expires, you actually then get those 5 points for your own team, in addition to the kills that you're making as well. Now, as part of that, to shake things up with the game, there are power-ups in the games as well. So in Carnage, there is the Berserker, which is kind of like this AI dragon. And if you are able to shoot it down, that allows your character and dragon to go berserk as well. And it gives you this additional shield, and it just makes you more aggressive, and it allows you to do more damage, to fire your fireballs more rapidly, and it makes it a lot easier to take down the enemy. But obviously, if you're able to take down one of the berserkers, you also get extra points for that as well, because that's actually really, really difficult. You also have the Draken Spear as well, which is this like uberly powerful weapon, and if you pick it up and equip it and use it, it is pretty much a one-hit KO onto an enemy. So the Carnage mode is really, really fun. It's probably one of my favorite game modes so far. I've really, really, really enjoyed it. And then in addition to that, you also have what's called Gates of Fire, which is the second game mode available that we got to check out. This is also a 6v6 game mode. It's kind of like Capture the Flag, and the objective basically is to take the flag, and you have to fly it through different gates, and as you get gates, you will like ping these gates into your color, and the idea is to get all 8 gates in order to win that round. Now, the Gates of Fire do have best of 3. It's really, really, really fun. The matches are actually very, very short. It's one of the things about this game that maybe could be a little bit longer. The matches do feel incredibly short. For Carnage, every match is about 7 minutes, so it's good in a way because it is a game that you can just jump into, play a couple of games and pick at if you want. Or if you're like me and Dante, you'll just get addicted, and before you look up, a couple of hours have passed and you're like, where the hell did the time go? So Carnage is about a 7-minute long match. Gates of Fire can be much, much shorter, so each round is about 4 minutes, but if you do manage to check all of the 8 gates, now that could be done in as little as 10 seconds if you're zipping and flying through. Those rounds can be just over and incredibly short. One of the things I definitely did find with Gates of Fire is that at first it does feel very hectic. It's a little confusing to know sort of what's going on, particularly if you do have the flag, because everybody obviously is aiming for you to kill you and capture that flag themselves. So it does require a lot more teamwork and a lot more strategy. And I think using the same map for Gates of Fire as they do for Carnage is maybe a mistake, because I think the map needs to be much longer and those gates need to be further apart to make that much more competitive, because a round can be over before you even get a chance to travel across the map to try and take out the person flying the flag. So that is definitely something I would like to see improved in Gates of Fire. But still, Dante and I really enjoyed both of the game modes. Initially, I started to not really like Gates of Fire, but actually, after playing it a few times and starting to experiment with different classes, I actually found myself really enjoying it. And just enjoying some of the quick matches and some of the teamwork and cooperation that's required in that game mode to obviously be successful. Now, one of the best parts of this beta was without a doubt the 3 dragon rider classes that you have. So there are 3 different classes available in this game. There's the Marauder, the Wingard, and the Phantom. Each of them has very different looking dragons. You can also customize your dragons, your armor sets. As you gain XP, you gain access to money, and also you can gain access to some gems, and these will allow you to go to the shop to basically purchase certain cosmetic items for your dragon or for your rider. But also, as you do level up, you do get given gifts and things, and one of those things are these dragon eggs that you equip to your character. Now, as you equip them and level level up and gain XP, this will start to gradually sort of level up the egg until eventually it will hatch. It's a little bit like Pokemon Go's mechanic for its eggs and walking. But once you do hatch this dragon, it will then give you a unique dragon, and these come in different varying sort of levels, from common to rare to epic, and I'm assuming legendary. There is a shop. Now this is a free-to-play game, so there will definitely be microtransactions without a doubt. Absolutely, there are microtransactions, but there weren't any available. You couldn't spend real money in the beta, though that will become available, I do think, in early access. But what I have seen for the microtransactions so far is all of these appear to be cosmetic in nature. So to be able to customize your rider or your dragon to make them look the way that you want. None of the microtransactions, thankfully, affect the actual gameplay and your ability to perform in matches. So you can't use real world money to gain an in-game advantage, and I am very, very happy to see that. And of course, it's a free-to-play game, so I would be very surprised if there weren't some degree of microtransactions available in the game. You do seem to be able to earn currency, which you can spend, but it does feel that this is a little bit sort of throttled in it. Now there are weekly and daily challenges that you can also complete as well, and they will give you rewards like XP or gems or money. The daily challenges are kind of cool because every time you do a daily challenge you get a key, and if you do 7 days of those, depending on how many keys you get at the end of the week, you get a reward chest, and that will have certain rewards on there. And obviously the more keys that you have, the better quality rewards that you're going to get in terms of, say, a dragon egg or a cosmetic or whatever it may be. So it definitely does feel like they're putting things in place to try to encourage some degree of challenge, to try and get people coming back to play the game. And I've enjoyed the daily and weekly challenges myself. Personally, I felt that they're very accessible. They add a nice additional element to the game, and so I've really enjoyed them. Now Dante and I have played this together in multiplayer, and the matchmaking was fine. We didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. The servers were really stable for the most part as well. We didn't have any game drops or anything like that. I didn't notice any massive bugs or glitches or any issues, and the game seemed to run really smoothly in terms of the combat, and that obviously allowed for better sort of precision and reaction times to things as well. But let's talk about the 3 classes, because that's what I was really interested in, and I have to say I love each class, and that's rare for me. Usually I will find one class that I absolutely love, and I basically main that as my main class, kind of like what I did with Monster Hunter World and the longsword. But actually I will say that I've tried all 3 classes, and each class feels very, very different, and they do all really bring something to the table, and they are, you know, useful in certain scenarios. So your Marauder class, for example, that's really your DPS class. They will do the most damage, the most heavy hitting. They do get up close and in your face. So every class, of course, has its basic moves. You have your fireball, which you can lock onto an enemy. So they have a circle that goes around them, and when it's green, that means if you shoot a fireball, it will track that enemy, and obviously if they don't do a maneuver or a counter, it will hit them. You also have fire breath as well, which you can aim and fire when they are within range, and this will also track onto enemies as well, which is really, really cool. But then on top of that, each class also has a sub ability or a sub equipped weapon, and also a main ability as well. For the Marauder, your sub-ability, you can choose between 2 different things. You can have Gust, which is kind of like a defensive mechanism. So when an enemy is going to hit you with a fireball, you can actually throw out this Gust, and it will destroy these fireballs and stop that enemy being able to lock onto you for a certain degree of time, until obviously you can get out of that sticky situation. You also have Frost Bolts, which was my personal favorite, and that allows you to actually strip enemies' shields and weaken weaken them, and if their shield is already stripped, it also slows down their maneuverability and their ability to turn, and that can be very useful as well. And then your main ability is something called Hunter's Mark, which basically allows you to like lock onto that enemy and target them, and your homing missile will then always definitely hit them, but it also targets them, so any future attacks will be a lot quicker against that enemy blow for weakened damage. And it's also good for your allies as well on your team to be able to see this enemy that you're tracking as well. We then have the Wind Guard. This really is your support class, so it's all about helping your team and buffing your team, and providing that support role. This is something I don't usually gravitate towards. This is more Dante's area of expertise, as he tends to be a support class in most games. But actually, the Wind Guard is a really powerful class, and I wasn't expecting it. It was probably the most useful when it came to Gates of Fire, because that is very much a game mode that needs that level of support and coordination. So the Wind Guard, for their sub ability, you have what's called Smoke Trail and Blast. Blast kind of works in the same way that Gust does, so it's a sort of a defensive mechanism against enemy dragons behind you or fireballs. But Smoke Trail is really where it's at, and that allows you to throw a smoke trail behind you, which is like a poisoned cloud that actually poisons your enemies, damaging them and also stopping them from seeing and locking onto you. So it's great to use when you're in a bit of a sticky situation and you need to drop it down. It's also lethal if you drop it into caves or enclosed areas, and it's really useful if you are the person with the flag and you've got a lot of dragons on your tail and you want to drop that cloud behind you to cause some damage. So it's really useful for that as well. But also it's really useful to support your allies as well, and one of the main abilities, or the main ability for the Wind Guard, is a healing ability. So if you press down Y, it will basically zip, if you're aiming at an ally, it will sort of zip you towards them, and that will allow you to kind of buff them and recharge their shield, but also add an additional buff to that shield, as well as your own health and your own shield. It heals you a little bit. So it's a really great way to sort of help a teammate that is really under heavy fire and needs a little bit of support and a little bit of a lifeline. And I actually found myself really enjoying playing with Wind Guard. It was really, really good class to use. And then finally we have Phantom. Now Phantom is basically like your Stalker or your Assassin class. So in terms of your sub abilities, you have Blast, which again is a defensive mechanism. You also have Mine, which allows you to plant mines on walls or in caves, and if an enemy flies past it, it will detonate, causing massive damage. But the major useful ability for the Phantom is their cloaking ability, which is called the Mystic Shroud. That allows you to go invisible for a certain amount of time, which can be useful if you're in a sticky situation and you want to get out of there and get like a shield pickup or a shield buff, something like that. But it's also very useful because you can cloak to get in a really advantageous position, and then if you shoot a fireball from cloak, it will do increased damage. So it can be really useful for kind of hit and run tactics as well. Each of those three classes were really, really enjoyable. I also really enjoyed both game modes that we played as well, and I'm sold. I am so sold on Sentry Age of Ashes, and the fact that this game is already this much fun, and we're only in early access, and I'm super excited to see what additional classes they're going to introduce to it. I can't wait to check out survival mode and see what other game modes are, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what some of the other maps are that they have as well, because the map is really gorgeous. It's really beautiful looking, and it's just really, really fun to explore and fly around. So Sentry Age of Ashes, already I am very much looking forward to it, and I am actually heavily considering streaming this and trying to get on board Edge to play it, maybe our friend Fish from Crack On Gaming as well, and maybe we can make some kind of squad up, which would be really cool, and really maybe showcase some of this on our like multiplayer Wednesdays or even some of our Saturday streams. But if you are interested and you would like to see Dante and myself stream some of this game on Saturday, I would be more than happy to do that. Please let me know in the comments section below what you think about it. But Century Age of Ashes so far, I'm really enjoying it. In fact, I'm addicted to this game and I can't wait to jump back in and have a few more matches. It's a brilliant, brilliant game. The flight controls feel incredibly intuitive, super easy to use. You basically use the right trigger to boost, basically, to speed your flight up. If you double tap it, you'll do a boost move and you have 4 pips of stamina, which you can recharge by flying low to this kind of glowing water. And then if you hold down the left trigger, that sort of puts on the brakes, so to speak, for your dragon. But if you tap it, you can also do a quick turn and a kind of a dodge. It's very, very, very intuitive. So the controls feel great. I definitely think this game plays much better on controller than it does with keyboard and mouse. I do hear a lot of that. A lot of people have complained that the reactions and the controls for keyboard and mouse don't feel as good as they do with controller. So if you're thinking about picking this game up on PC, I highly recommend that you check it out on controller, because I think the sticks give it an added feel. And yeah, it's just really, really enjoyable game. So Century Age of Ashes, those are my first impressions of it. I'm absolutely going to be picking this game up in early access on day 1 as soon as it becomes available. And really awesomely, everything that I've done so far, all the leveling, all the cosmetics, everything I've unlocked, I get to keep all of that progress, and it's going to carry over into the early access game when that comes out in April. That's been confirmed by the development team, so that's really awesome. I think you can still request access to the closed beta, and you can do that through Steam. So if you're interested, absolutely try and get in on that, and I'm sure they're looking for lots of people to join, and you may well get an invite so you can check it out early before it comes out in early access in April. But yeah, Century Age of Ashes, man, it's really, really fun. I can't wait to play more. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys having a great week, of course. Take care, and as always, happy gaming. Bye guys.